In the United States, an unknown outbreak has shaken up the country and those who are alive have gone into hiding. A family of 3, Ray, Claire, and their young daughter Zoe are currently in an abandoned underground shelter. They are hiding from the monster they call the Breathers. Zoe's parents have 4 rules for their daughter to keep her safe. Never be loud, never lose control, never leave the doors open, and never talk about the Breathers. One night, Zoe, attached to her doll, which she uses as a coping mechanism, wakes up after having a nightmare about the Breathers and tells her mom about it. Claire reminds her of the 4th rule and tells her they are safe since her father has been keeping watch. To make her feel better, she takes her to see Ray, who uses a deck of cards to address her concerns in a world of make-believe. Despite Ray's efforts to make her believe they were safe, Zoe wanted to go up and check out the locks for herself. She vows to keep all the rules and gets permission to go up the ladder, although Claire doesn't like it. Zoe climbs the ladders and checks the hatch that is reinforced with chains. Later, Zoe carves another stick on the wall, which they use to count their days in the shelter. While they were about to have dinner, they discovered that a rat had been eating their food, which is scarce as it is. 2 weeks of rationing had already gone, so try to find it and kill it before it steals any more food. They also find out that the only way it could have come to their shelter was through an air duct and not the barricaded hatch. In the meantime, the family decided to cut down on rations and have beans for dinner. Zoe hates the beans and starts complaining about being stuck inside and not having any friends. Ray tells her that he and her mom are friends. Then he reminds her about surviving 301 days in the shelter. He believes they are the only ones left alive and tells Zoe that every day they make it to the next day is a miracle. After dinner, Ray plays a game of Monopoly with his daughter, and for the time being she seems happy to be alive. After Zoe goes to sleep, Claire and Ray speak about what is next for them. Claire is worried about not being able to find food and Zoe's health since she has lost weight. Ray tries to calm his wife down, saying they will find something to eat even if he has to go out to the surface. Claire tells him that is not an option, but he reminds her about their promise to each other. Zoe comes first no matter the cost. Ray tries to be positive about their living situation, but Claire tells him that he can't cheer her up by talking about miracles, unlike their daughter. So he tries to lighten her up by kissing her and getting intimate with her quietly. On the next day, Zoe keeps getting restless and asks her mother if they are the only ones left alive. Claire decided to let her use their handmade periscope to look outside using the small duct, which they use to let the sunlight in. Zoe looked outside but nobody was there and everything was quiet. When Zoe and Claire are in the middle of their conversation, Zoe sees the rat stealing their food and alerts her mother. Claire calls Ray and he tries to stab it with his knife, but he misses and his knife gets stuck on the table. The rat was about to escape when Ray was trying to pull out the knife, but Claire killed it before it went through a hole. They return to find the table on fire because of the lamp Ray accidentally knocked over. The fire erupts into a large one and they do their best to put it out. Although they put out the fire, they realize the smoke going out through the air duct will reveal their position to the Breathers. To be sure that the Breathers have found them, Ray uses the periscope and looks outside. He sees the smoke going up into the sky. This makes Claire tense and keeps pacing back and forth while Zoe gets very scared. Ray tries to calm everyone, telling them even if they see the smoke by the time they get there it will disappear and they will be hidden by the time the Breathers get there and look for them. His idea seems to be right, but Claire notices the ash of the wood, which can be used to track their position. Ray doesn't think anyone will notice, but she tells him they can't take that chance. She suggests going outside and covering the task, which would mean breaking the 3rd rule. Before Ray and Claire go outside, she warns Zoe, who is eager to go outside and help, to lock the door as soon as they go out. Zoe protests this decision, saying she is not a child and can fight if she has to. But Claire forbids not to open the door no matter what happens outside. Ray and Claire leave the shelter with a plan to make it back within 3 minutes while Zoe follows what is going on outside using the periscope. After a while, Zoe sees some movement from afar and shouts to warn her parents, but they are not near enough to hear her cry and are focused on covering the ashes. So, Zoe breaks the 3rd rule and goes outside. When she can't find them immediately, she panics and begins shouting, calling their names. Claire quickly shows up and covers her daughter's mouth. Zoe tells them that she saw the Breathers, but it turns out to be a couple of deers who were running scared. Claire thinks the deers are getting chased by the Breathers, so they quickly run to their underground shelter, but they are followed. Ray closes the hatch and reinforces the chains. He tells everyone to be quiet as footsteps can be heard from the surface. They slowly walk, following the trail of footsteps to the room where they have dinner. Ray thinks it is just one, but Claire argues against it since the Breathers always travel in groups. While Ray and Claire are whispering to each other, Zoe gets scared and starts to cry, thinking the Breather is headed their way. Claire reminds me of the 1st rule, but Zoe couldn't help it. So Ray uses his make-believe playing skills to get his daughter to use her imagination and travel to their old house. He successfully calms her down and she smiles for a bit. Not long after coming back from their world of make-believe, they hear loud footsteps and they follow it to the main hatch. Everyone tries to keep quiet, but Zoe's doll, Olive, gets caught on by a nearby pipe screw and gets activated, making noises. Ray quickly tears the doll apart and squashes the noise-making device. The breather attempts to break in and he starts to loosen the chains. Claire goes up the ladder and holds down the tree while Ray brings a steel pole from their water siphoning equipment. The breather gets a small opening and comes face to face with Clary, who sees its glowing yellow eyes. Ray arrives at the scene and hits it with the pole. After some struggle, they close the hatch and he sticks the pole on the handle. Ray gets very nervous, but Claire encourages him, saying the hatch will hold, and the breather stops trying to break into the shelter. After a little while, sounds of vibration were heard from the other room, and Ray and Clary understood that the breather never left but was waiting for the others. In a flashback to the beginning of the outbreak, Ray, Clary, and Zoe were driving on the highway to get away from their town, Kingsville. They were stopped along with many other people by the Center for Disease Control officials, who were ordering everyone to get back to their hometown, and signs of quarantine were posted everywhere. In the present, the breather is joined by others and they break into the shelter. Everyone flees to the other room and Claire uses the lamp to light the curtain with fire to hold them off. Then they barricaded the entrance with the steel shelf, which they used to store cans of food. Ray and Claire thought they were trapped, but Zoe showed them the air duct. Ray helps Clary and Zoe escape. He was not going to fit, so he broke his arm and Claire almost lifted him out, but the breathers broke through the barricade and dragged him down. Ray disappears after fighting with them and spats of blood are seen. Zoe screams and tries to go back for him, but Claire holds her back, saying she promised to keep her safe. Claire starts running with Zoe, but she trips up and lingers to get her doll. The breathers start showing up from afar, alerting Clary to grab her daughter and get out of there. They run through the forest and to the highway, where a helicopter appears and a net fired from it traps both of them. The breathers, who are discovered to be American soldiers wearing night vision goggles and rebreather packs, surround them and point their assault weapons at them. In another flashback day of the outbreak, everyone on the highway was scared when the ground began shaking. Suddenly, fighter jets appeared in the sky and bombed the whole town. Then they turned their direction to the highway, causing everyone to panic and chaos ensued. Claire tells Ray about a shelter near Kingsville Elementary School and they all head there. Ray, Claire, and Zoe escape the bombings in the shelter, which became their home in the aftermath. But the shelter door cuts Claire's hand, which gets discolored and her blood turns black. She deduces that the virus must have gone airborne and they are all infected. Presently, the breathers draw blood from Zoe, who is pinned down by the net, and it's shown to be black. Then, one of the soldiers began asking Clary to cooperate in return for helping her and Zoe. He asks if they came in contact with everyone and Claire responds saying they are the only ones left. Upon hearing the answer, the soldier gives an order to shoot and kill both of them. After shouting frantically, Clary's face starts to change and gets filled with black blood vessels while her eyes are bloodshot. When Claire is about to lose control, Ray, who is now fully transformed himself showing similar features to Claire, appears out of nowhere and kills the soldier. Then incapacitates 3 others. Ray showed incredible physical strength and a brutal way of killing, but he was gunned down after the rest of the soldiers fired multiple shots at him. After reporting to their station about their casualties, the soldiers turn around and discover Clary and Zoe are missing. They go after them, but Claire hunts and kills them one by one, moving with super speed and showing super strength. One of the soldiers manages to shoot Clary and she is incapacitated. Claire gets back to her human form and wakes up to see a gun pointed at her head. Zoe, who saw the whole thing while sitting in a car, appears on the scene transformed. She attacks the soldier and removes his breathing equipment, causing him to get infected. But she didn't stop there. When she was about to kill him, Clary interfered. Zoe shifts her attention from the soldier to Claire and is about to kill her, but Claire reminds her of rule number 2 and tells her she can stop it. Zoe comes back to herself and gets control. Claire and Zoe go to the dying Ray and say goodbye. When another helicopter appears in the sky, Claire takes Zoe and keeps running. They find a sewer system nearby and hide there, where they are discovered by Joey Neary, a friend of Zoe's and their next-door neighbor from their old house. He leads them to an underground shelter, where there are other infected survivors including his mother. Zoe enters the shelter followed by Claire, who looks at the sunrise and reveals her bloodshot eyes before closing the door. With that, the movie ends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.